All right, so let's go ahead and change gears a little bit, and let's talk about somebody else who a lot of people think has a kind of a suspect resume, and that is INOUE. And apparently, the WBO has mandated or has basically INOUE has been elevated to the WBO super champion, and it says he could challenge Stefan Fulton next. It says the WBO has announced that they have made INOUE their bantamweight super champion. Here's the significance of that decision. When INOUE officially moves up and begins fighting at super bantamweight, he can petition the sanctioning body to become the mandatory contender at 122. So it still is on him at that point, but there seems to be mutual interest. Fulton has been out of action since an impressive unanimous decision over Daniel Roman in June of 22. When asked about the fight with INOUE, Fulton said that he has no problem facing him. However, he wants the fight to happen sooner rather than later because he has eyes on eventually moving up to featherweight. INOUE has expressed his interest in fighting Fulton and said it would be an excellent test out there. So, do we see this fight happening for INOUE, and then will this finally quiet the critics who says that he doesn't fight black fighters? Go ahead, Coach. Let's because Coach didn't get opportunity to weigh in last time on this.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
Hey, but look, okay, I get it. Right, you go to the guy's box, Rex, and I get it in terms of the fighting black fighters and all this stuff. But let me caveat everything I'm about to say with this: black fighters and no black fighters, that boy can fight. That boy, all right. Black fighters and no black fighters. Let me be crystal clear. That boy can fight. You know what I'm saying? And if this fight happens, and I'll let Boston get into the mechanics of who owns who and all that stuff, man. But I would like to say this would be one hell of a fight if he does fight Fulton, man. And if it happens to get made, then I give my prediction. But I my biggest thing on him not fighting black fighters is, to me, I hope that it can happen. But my thing in all that is just what I said. Let me be crystal clear. This boy can fight. And he got some fighters. You go through his box rec, he got some fighters on his box rec, man. He, in terms of what Jared says, also strength of opposition. It's a couple of them on there that's like, yeah.
Let me ask Dave a quick question. Just go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, and I'm just saying that he walked through them.
Now, just for the edification of our audience, and for those people who don't know, Coach Dave doesn't just call himself that. Dave was actually a professional boxing trainer. And you happen to manage a guy in Dwayne Beeman who fought at those lower weight classes. Mm-hmm. And obviously you don't know all the fighters in that division, but how many black fighters do you actually come across in those lower weight divisions? Because it seems like those weight divisions are dominated primarily by Central, South Americans, and East Asians. Was that your experience managing Dwayne Beeman, or?
Yeah. No. You really hit it on the head, man. At least a lot of them that rise up. Even the one black fighter that was kind of, really dominating it. The blacks that like Rashid Wan held it, man, and just, Rashid Wan was just a freak of nature, man. And then you also had the guy that was one of the IBO world champions that was over in South Africa, Buthelezi. So really back when we was fighting and when I had the fighter you mentioned, Rashid Wan was the dominant black fighter up in that thing, and then across the waters in terms of black fighters was the Buthelezi guy, So, and I think at one time, man, I thought Rigondeaux was at super bantamweight. I thought he was.
Yes, Rigo was down.
Yeah, because we was trying to get him as well, man. So those like are the primary three then the rest of them, man. I mean, you're right, man. It's Yafe, the Arab guy. Of course, you had Payano.
Oh, Galal Yafai, and the other guy Payano. Yeah.
So you're right, man. You hit it dead on the head. But that's why I love that. Like, but Stefan, hey man, Fulton, bro, yes sir, I like him, bro.
You do, but you don't think that his lack of concussive power would be right? So he has 8 knockouts, in his 21 fights, and in a way, I think is because of his knockout prowess is an underrated boxer. He has some defensive flaws, I think, sometimes, but I just think that Fulton he's gonna have to get his respect at some point. Right. I think that was what Donaire had success from him, because Donaire, even in his later age, that guy could still crack with both hands.
Well, I'll say this, man. Okay, I give you that. My argument about Fulton, though, is that I think this kid has no problem coming to fight, Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Like ain't no bitch in that joker's blood. You get what I'm saying? Ain't nothing in that boy's blood. And I'll say the about the power stuff. You can flip it over to the female boxers, and you can take a look at Clarissa Shields, man. That knockout power or whatever ain't there, but what you know about Shields is she coming to fight, man. And that's what I'm saying, that I think in this kid Fulton. So that's why I'm saying it's gonna be a good fight, dude. Unless he just get a blue ice cold scared heart out the back, Other than that, if he comes to fight, bruh, 50-50 check. This fight's gonna be.
We haven't heard from the casual one on there. So if INOUE does go ahead and petition to become the mandatory, do you like this fight for INOUE, or do you see Fulton?
We mentioned it last week. This would be the test that if he was to get past Fulton, he deserved to be shit. By that time, he deserved to be number 1 pound for pound. Because it's got to be his 4th division.
Yeah, and he'd be unified. He'd be unified. Two division unified, undisputed.
Yeah. So I mean, like the last segment, y'all was going through Canelo's resume, and then but here you got we argued this last week where we had between Usyk, Bud, and INOUE for the pound for pound. Hey, if INOUE beat Fulton, Usyk or Bud can't compete unless Bud unified at 154.
Hey man, I'm telling y'all, this dude, look, and I'm just going through his box right now. And Antonio Nieves, yes. Juan Carlos Payano, yes. Rodriguez, yes. Even Donaire, you pick and choose, But these are some cats that this dude is bumped off, man. So
Manny Rodriguez, who one of the Russell brothers went life and death with twice. He went in there and knocked Manny Rodriguez out in like 2 minutes.
Cold. Hey, I'm telling you, man, the dude, and of course, and I'm excited about it because I love them little fighters, but I love them little light jokers, man. But yeah, the boy can fight, man. So
he can fight, man. Like he has boxing skill. He has good footwork. He has quick, fast hand. He throws combinations. He's not this kind of just looking for a single shot. He can be hit. I think if we want to be hypercritical on that.
So could Pacquiao. So could Terry Norris. Terry Norris got hit a lot.
Yeah.
Right, so Gerald McClellan got hit a lot. Gerald McClellan got hit too much, right? But serious, those are serious jokers. Look,
go ahead, Boston.
Dave broke down. I hate to be the bearer of bad news and take it there, but look, this fight happening or not happening is all going to depend on the politics and the business behind the sport. Fulton, who is I believe, a PBC fighter. Inoue, who is co-managed by, I believe, Ryzen and Top Rank and some kind of weird. Inoue is going to be the super A side in this fight, right? This is a fight that would take place in Japan, more likely than not. This is a fight that Al Haymon is not going to have any control over whatsoever. And it's an extremely, extremely lucrative fight, especially if a fight takes place in Japan and ESPN gets co-broadcast rights to it. That's a lucrative fight for people involved. And am very, very curious to see if Al Haymon is willing to let Stephen Fulton go ahead and do this fight. I mean, I believe the Ali Act prohibits Al Haymon from stopping Stephen Fulton for pursuing a career high payday. That doesn't mean that Al Haymon can't talk to Stephen Fulton and be like, hey, look, I can't stop you, but if you go ahead and do this, just know you're going to be sitting next to Gary Russell and them other dudes who haven't fought in 18 months. If you go over there,
Spence from getting a career high payday, right?
No,
it did. I mean, it did.
25 million. He
did.
He made more than 25. When did he make more than 25 million?
That's not true. Y'all cannot prove that. Y'all keep saying it. Who was putting up the 25 million? Let's just talk on the phone. Yeah,
it's hedge funds, but he went directly to he didn't.
All right, let's not go there.
He didn't go on Instagram and say like, "Hey, I got 25 million."
But y'all you
called him up.
Hold on, and I'm gonna give you this one. What was that? Joshua, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Who was that American he beat for the belt?
Charles Martin.
Frank Martin, right?
Charles Martin.
Charles Martin was a PBC fighter. Charles Martin and Al said, look, they offering you a lot of money to go to the UK and fight. He let him go. So I don't understand when people just come out the blue and be like, Al Haymon ain't gonna do this. Y'all never heard of
I don't think.
There's Frank Martin, and then there's like Errol Smith.
Yeah, Frank Martin
was the champion. Frank Martin was the heavyweight champion. You can downplay him and say he sucked or what, but he had the belt.
I didn't say that.
It's a valid point. It is a valid point. It is a valid point that Randy makes. That is a valid point. Really? I would argue, however, that Stephen Fulton has a little bit more utility for Al Haymon and PBC at his weight class and at featherweight and whatever weight. I
disagree. Tell me where who made money at that weight class? Who was the money makers at that weight class? You act like that. It's like going. If I let him go, I'm gonna miss out on a $50 million pay-per-view. That weight class ain't generating that kind of money. And then you can't prove to me where Al Haymon has stopped somebody from a good business wise just hating on somebody
of course not, because Al Haymon doesn't come out and make any statements, right? We can't prove anything that Al Haymon even exists, right? I haven't seen the motherfucker. He's like Bigfoot. But look, regardless, but you have a point. That's a good point. You're making a good point.
To go back to Cameron's point, though, it wasn't Al Haymon. Al Haymon offered
it was Al Haymon.
It was not, because Spence is the one who was like, why would I go somewhere else? And Spence when they interviewed Spence, he said like,
God.
Do you think Spence,
can we pivot off of this?
Making these decisions and whatnot, or is he running to Al Haymon and say, yo, this is what I should do? And he even said when he left the Frank Martin fight,
in advisor role,
when he left the Frank Martin fight, like, I'm gonna stick with Al Haymon from thick through thin, whatever he was saying, whatever. So basically, he said whatever he say, I'm gonna do.
So whose choice is that? That's his choice, right? That's the fighter's choice.
I know, but what I'm saying is that he goes to his advisor and say, hey, so why did Terrence Crawford go and call Al Haymon personally?
guys.
Because he didn't have nobody to call. I mean, there was nobody.
Hey,
No, because he knows he runs
Get
the
back.
show.
Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
let-
The Charles
back on
Martin
point.
argument is a good argument. That's a solid point. That is a solid point. Now, I will counter that by saying this: if Stephen Fulton moves up to featherweight at 126, you've got Gary Russell up there. You've got Ray. You've got you've got Ray Vargas up there. You've got Leo Santa Cruz up there. You've got one of the Figueroa brothers up there. There are some interesting fights that can be made up there. And if Fulton goes over there, and I don't think this is going to happen. I would favor Fulton in that fight. He goes over there and loses. His stock drops. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see what happens. And then Randy made a solid point with the Charles Martin argument. That
Really,
I believe
anybody know that Charles Martin was a champion at the time when he fought him?
He was. It doesn't matter to Cam. He was a champion. I mean, it's almost not identical scenario, but it's similar enough.
Al Heyman has been around boxing long enough. He knows when I have a valuable asset, a commodity right here. Charles Martin got dropped by the most lackluster of straight right hand that I've ever seen, to the point where Joshua was just like, I don't even know what I did to drop him. Well, now this is the same guy that got slept by Ortiz.
So you saying PBC was throwing Andy Ruiz to the wolves when he went over there and fought?
That's another solid example. You're right.
I mean, when you are looking at he was going for his highest payday or whatnot, and they were looking at a fighter who has trouble staying in shape that was doing this. I could see that as a cash out, and then they got lucky.
I don't know. I think Randy's giving me hope that this fight might actually happen because they're going to throw a ton. I mean, Inoue is a star over there, from what I understand. Inoue is a big deal over there.
And then everybody, Coach ain't claim it, but I think if we go around the room and say who we got as the winner, everybody here is going to stay full.
Who you got, Dave?
I didn't say that.
Really, Cam? You would favor?
I just told you the guy has 8 knockouts. Like, you got to be able to stop this. And he's not just a puncher; he is a boxer puncher. Like,
so who you got, Cam?
I mean, I'm like Coach. Once the fight is announced, I'll give you my decision.
Come on, man.
I hear tap dance. Hey, man.
Yeah. Like, Coach, I want to say, like, I'll go and look at some of their fights and all that. But
get better or worse in between the time to fight. They're gonna be the same dude.
To me, I've got Inoue top 3 pound for pound. So that shows you what I mean. And like, do y'all have Stephen Fulton in y'all pound for pound top 20?
I don't, but again, Inoue would be on his 4th weight class, man. And Fulton, I believe, is a couple inches taller, got longer arms.
He's gonna come in bigger.
Yeah. Now, if Inoue's power carries up, because and this is another thing I didn't want to bring up on the last show, but I will bring it up and for the sake of consistency, because I bring this up with other fighters. Inoue's physique has changed dramatically over the last 3 fights. It has. Don't take my word for it. Go back and look at the first Donaire fight where he got bullied a little bit in that fight, and I believe went the distance for the first. That was a 12-round fight, right? Went the distance for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. He got hurt. It was a 12-round fight. It was absolutely.
His physique changed noticeably after that fight. He fights over in Japan almost exclusively. All I'm saying is that if I'm Stephen Fulton, if I'm his team, I'm bringing that up. I don't know that Inoue is even involved with VADA or any of those programs.
I thought it's the sanctioning bodies that got.
Yeah, if you are a WBC champion, you have to be you have to be a part of VADA and whatnot. Like
That's
that's
how.
the
Oh, okay. All right. As long as y'all believe in it.
if you WBC, you have to be. It's not even a lot of people because this came up during the
UK
Chris
too.
Eubank, yeah, and the Ben, not Nigel Ben, but Connor Ben, because they were saying, oh, he volunteered to be part of this voluntary. He was like, no, if you want to be considered, for the WBC, you have to enter into that. So
Another guy who, if you look at his before and after photos, pull up some of them photos from Nigel Ben, Jesus Christ, Nigel Ben, Connor Ben, and look at how his physique changed over a relatively short period of time. I'm saying this for the sake of consistency.
He fought in Vegas in June of 2021. He fought again in Vegas in October of 2020. And
you
then
talking about Inoue, you talking about
Inoue.
Okay.
We need to go ahead and wrap up the show. This has been a lively show. We finally had all of the pundits
Glad to be
back together or whatnot. So this is Professor Neil. I'm signing off for Boston Jared.
Peace.
Coach Dave. And the Casual Rand.
Yeah.
Keep it popping, folks. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And we's out.